Puddle on the Beach, the UK's biggest off-roading cycling event, which takes place once a year in Pembrey Country Park, South Wales. Every year riders race it out over beaches, dunes, single tracks, mud, gravel, and this year even flooding. I've been lucky enough to get a place this year on its 10th anniversary, and we finally get to answer the question of, can a Brompton really off-road? This event is exactly why the M line was built, and to prove that a Brompton has its very small and unique place in the world of off-roading. I would like to quickly give a quick shout out to Headway South Wales, who are my chosen charity partners and the amazing sponsors of the event, but mainly Schwalbe, thank you very much Grant, Rota and Exposure Lights for making the event so special, and the incredible support that the team showed me. Unfortunately, I didn't get to review any Exposure Lights due to Battle in the Dark being cancelled due to inclement weather, but I hope going forward I can review their products because the selection and the stalls and the staff were all incredible on the day. The event this year was touch and go with weather warnings for strong winds, rain and advice to avoid beaches. This bad weather caused severe flooding to the course, which seen a last moment change to a 2-lap 38k race instead of the normal 3-lap 45k race, so a massive shout out to the promoters and staff for making this happen. The event build up for me was very stressful as I had to fly the M line down from Glasgow, replace my handlebars, forgot my pedals, had to replace a Di2 cable that broke the day before the event, and to finish it off, forgot to bring my cycling shoes to the event. I was convinced this was a cursed event, but I wouldn't let it get me down. Even though all these stupid little things ended up costing close to £400, we were here for one thing and one thing only, to see if a Brompton can tackle one of the wackiest and funnest events in the UK. Now cue the intro. He's the Brompton Guy! And with that horn begins Battle on the Beach 2024. No storm could have stopped this event, and I'm so grateful that that air horn has went. Let's just remind everyone here that this bike I am riding, the M line, was specifically built for this event in mind, so to get it across the start line was an absolute joy, but I couldn't help but think, would I be able to get it across the finish line? As you could hopefully see there from the Welsh flag holding its own in the wind, the weather is absolutely intense. So intense that the course had actually seen significant changes this year compared to the years before. One of these changes being the roll from the tarmac into the soft stand. Now, I was absolutely petrified at this section because I'd already seen in previous videos people going over the handlebars, and I didn't want to start the race like that. I did give it an attempt, but as you can see, I didn't do too well and resorted to what other people were doing and what was one of my strengths, and that was running. I've never had to start a race by running through soft sand, and to my knowledge the years before, you typically start on the hard sand, run on, and then start pedaling from here. But instead, because of the storm and the weather and the wind, all that soft sand was blown up, so they decided to have us start, fill her up, and get onto the course there. Now, with the course in mind, let's discuss what's coming up. At the moment, you can see I'm riding on bullet hard sand, which to a degree was pretty much like tarmac, but there was definitely softer sections. As we just seen, the course started on the tarmac rolling into the soft sand. Coming off the soft sand, we are now hit with 6 kilometres of hard sand all the way up to the first technical section. Now that I'm established on the hard sand and the start of the race is done, I'm actually starting to really enjoy the surroundings that I'm in. Yes, we are currently cycling through a storm, and yes, I do have some tailwind, so it's making me feel really fast on the bike, but it was just amazing to have it actually go ahead. I was riding this event with my friend Mark from work, and it was really important to me to try and keep his wheel as much as I could, because he would be setting a similar pace as to what I wanted to follow if I was doing on a regular bike. So it's fair to say I was going fairly hard at the beginning, but I think everybody was. And now with that 6k of hard sand over, it's time to tackle the first technical section of the course. As you can see, we're about to tackle a 1.5k section of what is going to be a lot of water, a lot of mud, and a lot of walking, and a little bit of running. Now, I won't lie, if it wasn't so congested, I would have most definitely attempted to go through this in the M line, but everyone was just everywhere. I honestly wasn't quite prepared for the level of congestion in this area, and as someone that wasn't confident riding this style of terrain, there is absolutely no way I'm going to get in the way of someone that is experienced on this. Finally, after a nice little bit of running, I was able to find a section of land where I could mount the bike and actually start riding again. You know, after all, this course is supposed to test the M line, not my cardiovascular ability for running. To my surprise, I was actually making really good time on these sections. I think I was just starting to get a little bit panicky because I couldn't really control the pace. Mark had started to get a little bit ahead, and because I couldn't even get on my bike, it was hard to make that ground. So I decided to go all out as much as I could to try and catch that gap, and to my surprise, I actually done fairly well. Well, maybe I was a little bit too positive there. I was making really good ground, but unfortunately the person in front of me actually stumbled over, and that made me stop. And once you stop on this terrain, it's incredibly difficult to get going again. So as you can see from the footage here, you have a lot of people that are tackling the bog, or you have the other people walking left and right of the bog just to avoid it. Unfortunately, with the momentum I had and the size of my wheels, the only option I felt I had was to do the honourable thing and do the honourable walk with the bike. And now, with the technical section coming close to an end, I was seeing something where I thought I could actually make some time, that being a hill. For some reason, even being a giant guy, I seem to do pretty well on hills, and I see my opportunity to gain on the crowd by going up over the grass. But as the theme of the ride, the guy in front of me stopped in the path I had to go, and I had to dismount into soft sand and get running again. Now, I really needed that momentum to get me over the sand, and as you can see now, it's really sandbagged me, but does take us on to the next section of the course. For this section, of course, we simply have to reverse the beach in the opposite direction. However, on the way back, we have the major disadvantage of the headwind. While the tailwinds are obviously absolutely sublime, words cannot describe how strong this headwind was. Everyone had to pretty much be going at a pace of about 5 kilometers an hour, and if you didn't stay in a pack, you were toast. It was going to be brutal, but I could see Mark up ahead, and I simply had to catch the gap in this moment. So you may be wondering, why am I taking my helmet off? Well, as you can see there, I always wear a skull cap because I really do suffer from cold ears in the bike. But with the extra effort trying to catch Mark, I just had to take it off before I lose too much water through sweating. Little did I know this was going to be the biggest change of events of the entire ride for me. As you can see, I'm struggling to get my helmet back on. I cannot get the clip, and the buffering winds are really not helping me focus. I'm so busy not looking at the roads, I'm slowly losing power, and I'm slowly seeing Mark get away with me, and I'm all of a sudden thinking, why is this such a difficult effort? And then all too soon, it become really obvious.
Alright, it's not good. Out of all the little mechanicals I've had, I've taken a front puncture. I knew that beach section was getting so difficult. So difficult. Really hard, and then I started to hear a rub.
Did you get here, Joe?
Nah, my front tube went. My front tube. Nah, it's all good. This is going to be my first ever did not finish. I can't quite believe it. I feel gutted. Absolutely gutted. The wind is hard. Puncture, yeah. I went too soft. Well, it certainly lived up to its name. I'm kind of grateful that that it just re-looks itself this again. But at least I experienced the soft sand, the hard sand, the crazy muck, the running, and all the stuff that followed it, you know. But now I've got to walk a stream. However, as always with these events, it's great to see the joy a Brompton can bring. I just feel devastated not to be crossing that finish line. I don't actually know if that means I get my medal. I don't know. But I'm going to end the camera there because it's getting so wet now. And yeah, I'll see what I do to finish my video. Pretty much been a walking race for me now. I think I'm getting close to the event village, and there's not even any signal for me to phone anyone where I'm at. I just passed an amazing part of the course. So good for what I wanted to test this on. Devastated just doesn't even begin to count how I feel about having a mechanic on this event that happens once a year. Never run my tubes too flat. I'm too big for that. That's what it is. Can't control these things. Take them as they come. Learn and move on. In fairness, the weather for how bad it was forecasted isn't crazy. Yes, the winds are ridiculous, proper ridiculous, but yeah, not crazy bad. But now I'll go back, sit in the event village, drink my sorrows away, and see how we get on.
And just like that, I was shut down. I was at an all-time low, and I was kicking myself for not bringing a spare tube. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd spent ages building a bike for one event and I couldn't even get a lap done. I finally reached the event village, broken, down and depleted. However, there was a glimmer of hope. Grant from Schwalbe Tyres approached. He noticed I was using Smart Sam tyres by Schwalbe. I explained to him the puncture and he immediately got to work to get me back on the road. It felt as if it was just as important to him as it was to me to get the M line round the track. But the question was, could we do it? Is it possible in the time frame?
go. If I get my puncture, I'm going to be devastated, but I cannot believe I'm back on. Hopefully to get a lap, but also do the terrain I wanted to do. Absolutely amazing. Power of the bike community. Schwalbe. Thank you so much.
Yes, 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 we are back on the course. I honestly cannot believe it. Grant managed to find a 26-inch inner tube that we've managed to stuff into the 20-inch wheel and make it work. We don't know if it's going to make it round the full lap, but it's given us one more shot to see if we can do a lap fully. Now you're probably wondering, where even on the course am I at this point? Well, I've just came out of the event village and heading back to the beach in order to start lap 2. So in order to make this a little bit more interesting for yourself, I'm going to put all the best bits together until we get to the end of the beach. Let's go.
We're still on the beach. I don't believe it myself, but we are. But in the distance, I could see the Welsh flag, and I can see people turning off now. This return beach section is hard. It's depleted me. Absolutely depleted me. I've passed so many people that have decided to walk. It is very taxing on the body. The lack of water is hitting me now, but we're about to say goodbye. Right, it's going to be a walk because my butt is broken. Look at that, you can see the wind? I've actually got tailwind for a change, look at that. Oh, I'll even eat pedal when I'm moving. Welcome change. Hey, cheers. Thank you. Home stretch, baby. Oh, thank you, gents. Thank you.
It has felt amazing, this section of the course, winding my way through gravel roads, loose sand, up and down dunes, through a little bit of mud. It has been absolutely phenomenal and quite the change from the long beach sections that I've done so far. This is absolute prime territory for the M line, and I'm so grateful we've managed to get it this far. As we learned from the beginning of the video, there has been heavy rainfall in the area and parts of the courses have been marked off. You can see here some of the flooding that's happened, and it was to my surprise that coming up just ahead was probably one of the most wildest sections I could possibly try and take a tiny little 20-inch Brompton through. I'm not going to lie, I did see it from a distance beforehand, and I did think, if I get there, I don't think there's any way I'm going to get through it. But now, let's show you what was to meet the Brompton in the next section of the course.
happening here? There you go. There we go. Wheels. So close. Oh, thank you, thank you.
Come on, lad, finish it properly, come on.
On the hill. Oh. Oh. Right. Oh. Oh. Thank you.
We made it! What an epic adventure, and beyond grateful to get across the line. Who knew a 26-inch tube would work in a 20-inch wheel over that brutal terrain? I went from completely deflated to overwhelmed with joy to be the first Brompton across the line on this event ever. Sure, not perfect, but we will certainly be back again next year to improve on what we've now started. I can already think of a couple of ways to improve the bike and what I would do differently. After the ride, I was being overwhelmed with so many positive comments, and like any Sportiva do, I get multiple kudos during the ride, which really keeps me going. This ride has actually made me fall even more in love with my M-Line, and I do promise to continue to improve its design on what is a beautiful one-of-a-kind bike. As always here in the Brompton Guy, I do my best to bring you fun and varied content, and hope this episode didn't disappoint. It would mean the world to me if you can show me your support by hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed what you've seen. Finally, if you want to show even more support and help me continue to do these amazing projects and builds, it would mean so much to me if you'd consider buying me a coffee with the link in the description or the QR code on the screen. But now, it's time to get some recovery, get a shower, a bottle of wine and some much needed food.